Hello everybody, and a very big welcome to my channel. My name is Debbie. I'm a mixed media artist, and I'm also a very dedicated buyer of art supplies. So I thought I would share with you my first winter art haul of the year 2025, if you're watching this in the future. Yeah, I say first one of winter because I would have said once that this is all I'm buying, and we both know that's not true. So let's not start 2025 off with a lie. Just a bit of housekeeping. If you like what you see, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if you like what's going on here and the way I present material, do consider joining my Patreon. You would be very, very welcome. Sorry, there are some cat complaint noises in the background and probably dog complaint noises too. The pets are annoyed because I won't open the door. It's too cold. Trying to keep the warmth in. Right, moving swiftly on. This is a bit of an art haul that came yesterday, and I'm kind of eager to use all of these things, so I thought it's time we did a video on them. So where to start? Clear the decks here a little bit. Let's start with the big stuff at the bottom so we can get that out of the way. The first one is a very big A4 jelly plate. I've no doubt I'm never going to get this open like this without making a massive loud noise. I'm going to try anyway, as you do. You know what? I think I can do it. Just enough to get it out of here. Right, let's get rid of that. It's an A4. It's big. It's an A4 size. And it is a gel press brand, which I've been very impressed with. If you had have told me 6 months ago, even, maybe 8 months ago, that I would have bought an A4 size gel plate or any other sort of jelly plate, I would have laughed your ideas to scorn. However, I've learnt to shut up because I bought a gel plate about 8 years ago and I used it, followed a video on YouTube. Sorry about the shine here. I followed a YouTube video, I used it, and then I carefully packaged it up and put it back in its box and put it in a drawer, and it stayed there for 8 years because I thought, no, that's not for me. It's ridiculous. I just didn't like it at all. Nothing about it. What I didn't like, it turns out, is the simplistic sort of put paint on, put some leaves in and so forth, and print endless pieces of paper that I then thought, well, what am I going to do with all of these things? And of course, I've subsequently used a lot of the papers that I did print that way for collage. So that was good because I like to do collage birds. Again, have a look on my Patreon for things like that. And I've used all those papers up, but I don't really want to repeat them. So I thought, well, what else? A couple of months ago in September 2024, I decided to have a big thing where I went through all of my art materials that I wasn't using, stuff that was also stuck away in drawers, and give them one more chance. And I came across this jelly plate and I thought, well, why can't, I'm a landscape artist and I'm a mixed media artist. So I had a play and I've come up with some methods to use the jelly plate for landscape painting and buildings and things like that work really quite well, actually. Let me just see if I can show you a couple to show you what I mean. I've got some here that I've started to mount for framing, and as you can see, my methods are a lot different to what you normally think of when you think of the word jelly printing. You don't sort of probably think of this, but what I love about it are these textures that I cannot get anywhere else, and this is the way to do it. So there's one of some buildings. Oh, here's a landscape. That's actually a ghost print of that. And what happens when I do these sorts of things is I'll do something different with the ghost print just to make it interesting. And so with this method, I will often just do the basics, and then I come back and work back into the print with my markers and coloured pencils and inks and other things that I have that make up my mixed media stable. This is my favourite. I'm going to keep this one. I like this. I like the lighthouse and I like the sky. I just love the textures, these old buildings. This one is a tutorial on my Patreon right now, and it's also available in my shop. It's one of the featured tutorials to help you find it a bit easier. Been very popular actually, so yeah, you might like this and see exactly how I do this. But like I said, it's better value to join my Patreon, but if you're not sort of set up for that at the minute, then these are available. That one's available in my shop. This one's the last one I did in this series, and I'm experimenting as well with pan pastel on the jelly plate, which I've got a tutorial coming up next month, I think will be that one. Yeah, so this is what I do with them, and I thought, well, okay, since I have made myself happy about the fact that I can do different things with it, I've bought other jelly plates. So cut a very long story quite a lot shorter, I've now got a selection of 6, from not wanting to use one at all to having 6. Fair enough, as long as I use it, it doesn't matter. The next one is a Canson multimedia or mixed media block 300 GSM. It's A5, it's not massive. What I might do is use this to swatch what I've bought here onto, because I've never used this paper before, so it will be very interesting. It's got a slight texture. I don't normally like that for my mixed media work. I like a smooth, heavy. I like the 300 GSM bit, but this texture, we'll see if it's too much or not. I'll tell you all about that when we've done it. This here is a pastel matte paper, and I use this to paint my realistic birds on, and I wanted a couple of different colours, and this has come up, so I'm sorry about the shine and the horrible bits there, but yeah, just some pastel matte paper. And I usually do coloured pencil birds in realistic techniques. Just let me just grab one. I won't stop filming on this occasion because I think if I can get it without throwing the pot plant on the ground, this is what, oh gosh, this is going to be hairy. I think that's okay. This is what I do with my pastel matte paper and coloured pencils. So if you can see that. Right, so all good. And that leaves the boxes and the bags. Let's do bags. I think we can all see what's in here. This is another one of those drawer dwelling things that I've had purchased, didn't want, and used once. Then I decided, it's not that I didn't want them, I didn't like them. I didn't really understand how they would fit in with what I was trying to do. So I put it back in the drawer with the jelly plate and left it there. And then a couple of months ago, during September, I made myself, like I said, have a clean out, get on, do all this, use it and see what you can do with it. So this was another thing I used, were pan pastel. And that's led me now to expand from the 7 pots that I had originally to a long way into the whole set. So again, I've decided I like it because I can make it relevant. And quite often with what you've got in your drawers, I mean, we've all got these things lurking in drawers. And I think that the main thing to do is to ask yourself how it's, if we don't like it, is it that we don't like using it? Do we not like the smell? Do we not like the feel? Like soft pastels, a lot of people won't touch them because of the feel and the dust and everything like that. Some people won't touch gouache because it goes muddy. What is it that we don't like about it? And if we're not sure and just say, look, you know, it's just, I never use it, that's where we have to see if we can make it a little bit more relevant to what we do every day. So you ask yourself, what do I like to do? I like landscapes. I like, mixed media, or is it all watercolor? Because sometimes well-meaning people will buy gifts as well. And you think, oh, I don't know what to do with this. So this year for me is all about trying to make things relevant. And I mean, I have gone a long way towards that with my gel plates and also pan pastels. So I've got some lovely new colors here, and they're all gaps that I have in my kit. I like the dark colors very much, the extra darks. I also like the tints, which would translate normally to extra light. And then I've got a few that are in between as well. So these are fabulous to start a mixed media sketch with, and the paper that I normally work on, which is either, I love Hahnemühle Nostalgia sketchbooks. They are beautiful smooth paper. I like the Ranger Delusions Clairefontaine Gold Line, and I love Fabriano Mixed Media card, which is again smooth, and these work beautifully on all of those. These are great to then back up with gouache. They work great with gouache over the top. They work great with inks over the top. They work great with acrylics. I've got a lot of acrylic gouache back in my life as well. I didn't think I'd ever do that again. My name of my channel is the Folk Art Factory, and that's because when I lived in Australia back in the 90s, last century, I taught folk art and decorative painting, which was really, really big at the time. And I just kept the name because people knew who, you know, anyone who needed to contact me about something relevant to that could still do it because, yeah. So acrylic paint has come back into my life as well. And I'm going to do a separate swatching video and unboxing for an acrylic paint order that I have placed, which I think is going to be with us tomorrow. So these will be swatched in a second. So oops, lots of pan pastels here in nice colors. Some of them are a bit bright and startling. I mean, I love muted colors, so you might wonder why, you know, what sort of what has to go bang in your brain when you like muted colors before you come home with this lot. The answer is quite simply sunsets and sunrises, things like that, which is what I will use those for. Right, mysterious boxes. These contain inks, and these are Lightfast inks. I don't use anything other than Lightfast now because, as I've said before, and it's worth repeating here, I will get into the zone and forget that what I've just reached for is not Lightfast, and I'll end up painting with it on a piece of paper. I painted a whole picture which I now can't hang and I can't sell because I forgot and used a dye-based ink, and dye-based inks, these especially, are not Lightfast, so I can't do anything with that picture, which annoys me just slightly. So, nice boxes of ink. Love these. These are Jacques Herbin, and they have, they're a writing ink, but like I said, they are Lightfast because that's what's needed apparently. And these are colours which will help to plug some of the areas in my collection. So we've got a verdigris, a profound blue, Café de Ile. Oh my God, my French is just not up to this. Gold button and granite, garnet, not granite, garnet red. Anyway, there's a brown in the middle. This again is a startling shade, but when we get to this, I will show you why I have made this choice. Love these. They've got a little thing there to rest your dip pen on should you want to do that, which is quite nice. It's a nice design feature. And they're lovely to use, so they go beautifully with pan pastels. So there's that lot. Then in here, gosh, I'm going to need a knife to get into that. Of course, can't find anything. Oh, would you believe I've cleaned up my desk, and now that means I can't actually find anything at all. So, oh, wait a second. No, wrong one. No, it's, oh, there we go. I've got it. I knew it was there somewhere. Yes, the drama queen. Just get everything wrong and drop the blade on the ground. By the time I tightened it up, and it won't happen. Cut into that there. Okay, so 3 little bottles in here. And these are another current favourite, which I didn't see coming. I really didn't. Pop that one away. Acrylic ink. This one's olive green deep. I'm very thingy about my greens. I don't like a Christmassy coloured green. I don't like particularly bright greens. I like a muted deep green. This looks like it could work well. This one is a do the whole thing. These are pigment inks, and you have to shake them completely in order to appreciate whatever color it is you've bought, because they've measured it out. That's their recipe, and if you don't shake them properly, you won't sort of know what the color was going to be, because you've not put the ingredients together properly, if that makes sense. So this is a nice peachy color, rose ochre, which is not, that's really nice actually. And this one, like I said, is olive green deep. This one here, you can see here clearly what I mean. The pigments are not suspended in the liquid. So we give it a bit of a shake. Sometimes they've got a mixing bowl, but not always. With these, you don't have to be quite so fussy. But these are anything with a lot of pigment in it. The pigment's heavier than the solution, and it will sink to the bottom, and you won't get what you paid for, basically. Wow, I like that. You might think, well, why on earth would anybody be so excited over essentially beige? It is such a useful colour. This is actually warm grey, but I would use that as a beige as well. And, you know, these sorts of colours that are quite pale, and you can do terrific things with them. They're great for knocking some of the other colours back as well. Right, so still with inks, I have got another for my collection of Raw and Klingner Antique Ink, a Senegal Blue. These are really nice. As you can see, it's also a generous size bottle. They're not especially expensive either, mind you. I'm in Germany and these are made here, so that could be the reason, but it is certainly nice to have something that doesn't cost the absolute earth. And finally, for the boxes, what have we got here? More inks. I decided to buy the rest of this little set. These also Jacques Aban writing ink, Lightfast. I've got a couple, and these are the 10ml bottles, which work out quite cheap at about €2 each. But it allows me to have a few colours without taking up too much space, and these go an awfully long way. So compared to this great big one, I've also got some smaller options if I decide to ever venture away from my desk. I don't know. I'd love to. I love the idea of en plein air painting, but basically going to another table in my house is stressful enough. It's the autism, but yeah. It would be nice to be able to see if I can overcome that and actually go outside and do some painting. Who knows what summer brings? Okay, so 3 colours there, good for swatching in a bit. And last but not least in the inks is another Raw and Klingner sketch ink. This one is Carmen. They are all, I suspect, named after ladies of the night. And the guy who has done the illustrations, I believe, is Felix Scheinberger, and he does a few things like that. They're beautifully done, really well presented, gorgeous colours. And this one is an orange, because I'm quite partial to orange. And again, see, I love painting foxes, and I love including sunsets in my work. So this will hopefully fit into the rest of my things quite nicely. And finally, a bit of a weird ingredient, 2 grey, and the names are going to remain a state secret, because although they are actually on the website, they don't print them on the barrel, but they're a couple of greys. Jelly Roll Moonlight pens by Sakura. I really like these for picking out winter twiggy trees against a dark background, and I will go and get something and show you exactly what I mean by that. So while it's show and tell time here, I've got a few things. This is a tutorial that I did with my Patreons, and this shows the use of these sunset coloured inks plus pan pastels and a few other bits and bobs there over the top. That's one. This one here, same deal, all the sunset colours, which is why I wanted more of them. But this also shows how I use those gel pens. So when I've got a branch that's extending over the top of a tree, like here for example, I want to see all that. Here, this is great. This is just dip pen and Indian ink, and it works particularly well. It's my new great love, actually. One of my new great loves. But sometimes when the branch goes over something dark, you lose it altogether. So the gel pens are really, really good. And these light greys, I think I've got a tan kicking around somewhere, things like that, they work very well indeed for that. And did I use it in this one? I don't think so, actually. Not so much. Not in this one, no. But again, pan pastels, inks and pan pastels made up the background for this one. So that's sort of what I've got more of at the moment. But I just love these, the depth that you can get with those too. In the summertime, I had made all of my backgrounds basically with gouache and then went over the top with coloured pencil and with markers and other bits and pieces. Now, because the season's changed and the light has changed, I found that I'm really enjoying making my backgrounds with different sets of kit. And there are videos on here about that. And yeah, my favourite for winter at the moment is an ink background with pan pastel over the top of that, and then the next layer is gouache. So these tree trunks are gouache, but I started with ink and then pan pastel, and I've really been enjoying that, and building up the inks very, very slowly indeed. So rather than just saying, right, we've got some white paper and splat, here's some colour, a few sort of more subtle layers before you get to the final splat is the way to go. Sorry to be technical there, these artistic terms, however, will we keep up? And then I go over the top with coloured pencil on the gouache to get the texture on the trees. The fox, again, you start with ink, and then I think there's even some oil pastel on there. All sorts. But the point is subtle layers and changing the kit to match the season and the light that you find in the season. This could be sort of late autumn as well. But it's really weird because I grew up in Australia and I look at some of these pictures where I've got a bit of redness in the background of a forest, and the eyes that grew up in Australia want to see that as a bushfire, even though it isn't. It's just the glow of the light through the trees. No, my brain won't have that. So yeah, it's very odd. But this is another one I'm going to keep, I think. But the others, I think these will go in my shop for sale at some point. I will let everybody know when that happens. Right, I think what we need to do next is we need to do some swatching. I'll clear this away and yeah, we'll swatch some of these out and see what you think. So that's everything prepared pretty much. Now let us start with the pan pastels. A couple of things. Be aware that there's health warnings on pan pastels, including the C word is mentioned. Don't breathe the dust, and I also don't let it stay on my fingers for too long. So don't panic, but do be aware. It's not a children's toy either. It's not something for children to play with, especially with warnings like that. And you'll see the warnings on the back. Of course, you won't see that one because right here, as you can see, warning, cancer. It's the Californian P65 warning. It refers to breathing in the dust, and yeah, so respect it but don't fear it. And like I said, they're not for children. May as well open this one since I'm holding it. I use these little makeup applicators usually to use my pastels because they last for ages. They actually last longer than some of the soft tools, I'm not going to lie. I've been taken in by that before, where I paid quite a lot of money and they've not been very good quality at all. Certainly not commensurate to the amount of money. Yes, these are awful for the environment, but you can wash them. So wash them and keep using them, and that's what I do. One lady who commented and said that these are not the right thing to use, nor are the makeup sponges that I use, because you can't get the effects that these pan pastels are capable of. Probably true, because she may have been a pastel artist. I certainly am not. I don't claim to be either. I'm a mixed media artist, and for what I want, these are just fine. So just in case anybody has said that to you too, it's not something that we have to be taking to heart. Very nice. Actually, that might work. This is a nice blue. This one is Payne's Grey Extra Dark. Very nice indeed, and I like this paper. I feel guilty about sacrificing a piece of paper like this for a swatch, but since it has come in this lot of things, it seems fairly reasonable. Let's go with this alarming pink, which is magenta. And you can actually imagine, now that I've shown you what I'm going to use it for, you can imagine where this might be a bit useful actually. Mixed together as well, and you can make other colours through mixing. But yeah, that's a really quite a bright colour. They're not cheap. I mean, these are about €8.15 per pot, but I suspect they will last a long time, and I suspect that they're actually quite good value for that, for all of that. Use this same one on the other side. That's nice. I love this golden brown colour, is really lovely. And in a not sunset, not everything is about a sunset, although that would go nicely. In a landscape, it's a really useful colour to have. And that one, I can't help cross-threading these. That is an orange shade, so a darker one of the orange colours, but not the darkest. This one is Hansa Yellow Tint. And again, a useful colour to have. Also a useful colour to knock back some of these others. And you can get instant distance into a picture by doing your sketch and putting something like this over the top. Because it looks misty and it sort of makes the whole thing retreat into the distance, which is worthwhile. This one is Permanent Green Extra Dark, and I have one side of this left. Nice. Yeah, see, it's perfect to really block in a background quite quickly. I do fix it. I fix that layer with hairspray. I've done that for a long time, not only with pan pastels, because actually out of all the tools, get this one back again. Oh no, that's a different one again. It'll do. It's got a free one. Out of all the tools, pan pastels, like I said, I've bought them, popped them in a drawer and forgotten about them because I couldn't see how they fit into what I was doing. But so I haven't been using them for years and years. And like I said, I'm not a pastel artist, probably never going to be. I can't see myself ever going back to a single medium anymore because I enjoy mixed media too much. That one's Turquoise Extra Dark, so very similar to the Payne's Grey Extra Dark, but different enough to warrant it being here as well. This one is Magenta Tint. Remember, tint has white in it, shade has black in it. It's as simple as that, actually. I like that. I got up one morning quite a bit earlier than usual, and I saw colours like that in the sky. And I thought, okay, so that's going on the list. Certainly can see myself using that. How about this alarming, knock everything over. I wish I could get scores like that when I go bowling. It's only when I'm sitting at a table that I knock everything over. Probably why I don't go bowling very often. Hansa Yellow. It's a good idea to have some yellows, especially these nice clear yellows. And where I thought that might be quite useful is if I was painting a building at night that had the lights on. And I thought maybe I could use that to show the glow through a window. We've all seen those night glow pictures, and I'd love to do that. I'm not going to do them on Procreate, which is, I'm aware that's where most of that is done. I want to do it old school. This one, that's nice too. This one is Chromium Oxide Green Extra Dark. Again, very similar to the turquoise one. Probably don't need both of these, to be honest. If you look there, you would be hard pressed to see which is different. You could also argue that about the two blues. So I guess the way I'm going to see that is that I've got extra of a colour, and when it runs out, instead of buying another pot, I can use the other colour that is remarkably similar. This one is Yellow Oxide Tint. And again, this is one of these beigey colours. It just reminds me of makeup. I don't wear makeup much anymore, but if I did, this would remind me of makeup. That is, again, a really, really good colour for filling in ground in a picture and get rid of the white page. These sleeves are really annoying me. I need the layers at the minute, but they keep on coming down and are getting longer, it seems. Right, got rid of that for a while. This one's Hansa Yellow Shade, so a darker colour. It's got a little bit of black in it. Again, it's a nice mid-green that's not too bright. Yeah, so these are, if you've got a little bit of fear of the white page, these are really good for filling it in. I see a white page not as something to be scared of, but as something that's full of possibilities. It's exciting, actually. So, yeah, that's sort of my take on a white page. These, let's see if they'll go straight away. They do. It's a silvery sort of one. As you would expect, it's a light grey. Don't know why I'm shaking them. They don't require it. This one's a bit of a darker grey. But again, really, really useful. Good, useful for small details. They tend to go over the top and be quite bright as well. So they're good value for money. You can use them for that sort of thing. Birds' eyes, animals' eyes, things like that. Right, let us now just going to grab a round brush and have a look at some of these inks. This is the Senegal Blue by Raw and Klingner. Very nice. I'm not going to lie, I like this paper as well. Inks are weird. They dry and then you can't move them again. So once they're dried, that's it. You've got them where you've put them and that's it. Whereas watercolor, you can move it around. And also another thing that they don't move around is when you put them down, they will cling to the paper straight away and dye it. So that's it. That ink is there. It's now probably gone right into the paper. Not quite all the way through, but it's gone into the paper, that's for sure. It had better not go all the way through with an art quality paper. Let us have this one next. This is the other Raw and Klingner, and this one's Carmen. It's bright. As you can see, I was thinking foxes here. Nice. This one feels slightly different to use on the paper. It still clings on and dyes the paper indelibly, but it feels different to the other antique ink. Right, let's see next. This one's the next one. Kind of interested in seeing this because, of course, you get all excited when you're buying things online because they've got the colours on the screen and you think, oh, that looks nice. And when you get it home, it is absolutely nothing like it. Oh, gosh, I do like it, though. Very nice. That's a nice... My father had a car that colour. British Racing Green. Yeah, it was a Jaguar that he had restored himself. Very nice car, very nice green, so that reminds me of it. This one is, this is the warm grey. That's nice. And with the acrylic ink, of course, it is a little bit different to the other lighter inks. These feel more watery. This one's creamier. It'll sit on top. It will behave like acrylic does, and you can refill your acrylic markers with it as well, although with some of the prices I probably wouldn't. I'm going to do a video on refilling acrylic markers and actually filling them first because I've got some empty ones, and making your own colours to do that. Oh god, just break. Now it's all over the ferrule. This one is the Rose Ochre. I love that. Daisy, please. Knows nothing about art. Doesn't stop her from commenting, though. Mind you, there's probably a few art critics we could say that about. Finally, we've got this little group here. And I'll start off with this Rue de la Verrière. It's... excuse me to any French speakers. I hate the fact that I'm massacring your lovely language. Gosh, that's a bright one. It looks like my Nana had, in the 70s, had a pot of blue rinse for her hair. And the day I got into it, when I was quite young, it looked exactly that colour. So gosh, there's some memories here. What's this one like? This one is Metropolitan. Sort of getting all of that colour off there first. As you can see, these are highly pigmented. They do go an awfully long way. and this little bottle is probably all that is required. It's certainly all that is required if I ever decide to come out from the comfort of my desk. This one is Moulin Rouge. We can all do that one. Mill Red. That's nice. Mixes with that nicely too. Good. Very nice. And again, this paper is nice. So everything's nice. I think I can do better than nice. It's really good. Actually, it's brilliant. This ink, I'm dying to try this one because it's quite a yellow sort of, it's very yellow. Gosh, it looks like a urine sample. Person wants to drink a bit more, mind you. However, the thing is you don't have to use it as fully as this. And if I was to go on and just take a little bit of this and see how it dilutes out, because I have room here, it's got some very nice colours, and that's the sort of brightness that I really wanted, because when I start out the first layers on these sketches that I showed you earlier, those sort of colours are really good because they shine through, and it's, like I said, it's a lovely clear yellow. It's not something, some of these you could look at and you think, gosh, is that a teal or is that a green, or is it a dark blue? There's no mistaking, that's an orange, that's a yellow, that's a red. These are quite, they're not muted fashion colours at all. This one is verdigris. Oh yes, that will get some use. That's right up one's alley here. And how does it mix with this undisputed yellow? It mixes as one would expect and makes a green, so that's always good. A profound blue. I'm suspecting this will be quite a navy, maybe close to a Payne's grey, that sort of thing, but purple. So I was wrong completely. Couldn't get much more wrong. It's nice. It is profound. And of course, naturally, you can water these down. And it might mix with the yellow. I find ink's quite good value in the same way watercolour's good value. Mind you, watercolour is rewettable, but these inks, they do go an awfully long way. And even if you've bought something and it's much smaller than you thought, you'll probably still use it for quite a while, unless you're doing huge canvases. Right, this one is the brown that I've bought. Oh, I like that. Nice reddish brown. I can see these two going together quite well. That orange and the brown. Again, thinking foxes. So if you start out with that orange and then go over the top with the ink, it could work beautifully. This one is the garnet red. Love garnets. Wow, that's gorgeous. What a beautiful colour. Really, really rich. And they don't wash out to pink. They wash out to a lighter version of the red that you started with, which is always nice. Because if you want pink, you will buy pink. And verdigris, I thought we'd done that one. I really did. Thought that was it there. Still sure it is. I think I've mixed these up. But look, we're going to do it again. Because if it's not, it means that I will have missed it out. But I'm positive that it's that one there. Don't know now, it looks totally different. I suspect it will dry similarly. And again, these are pretty transparent. You can't go over them very easily. I mean, you can, but it won't be a true colour. But you can get effects. Yes, it is the same colour. Right, so that's that little lot. And they are, yeah, these are colours which together as a set, as you see them here, don't make any artistic sense whatsoever. However, if you were to see the rest of the collection, you'd see where they fit in. And so that's sort of why I've bought them with a bit of forethought there. And I'm looking forward to using these. happens if we charge some water in there where they haven't quite dried? That's interesting sometimes. Some of this I think has dried a little bit too much. But yeah, you get different effects depending on what you are after. Nice. That's good. I am happy that I've bought some things that are useful, and yeah, so watch this space over the coming weeks for how I'm going to use those and what with. Like I said, the pan pastels. Next month on my Patreon, I'm going to do a pan pastel on jelly plate tutorial, and it'll have some acrylic paint in as well, and also some tips on how to get the pan pastel off the jelly plate, which if you're using them regularly you will know that already. Other than that, I'll explain all that, because otherwise it's a bit resistant. You've never seen anything so resistant until you've tried to clean that off. Yes, so I'm happy with these, and these will suit very nicely going forward into spring, because again, whilst this cold clear air is around, I think it's very, very worthwhile to change your kit occasionally, and to obviously change the colors, but we don't often think about changing the kit of what we're using as well. So, you know, humans are great for finding a comfort zone and then doggedly staying in it. So what I'm trying to achieve here is to say, right, okay, I still use gouache in a lot of my things, but what else can I use? See, for example, I have a drawer down here full of watercolors, and you've never seen me use those. That's because I don't get them out very often. So that's going to be on my radar this year, is where can I use more watercolors, because I love them. They're like sweeties, and it's like soft pastels. I see soft pastels and I want all the colors in those as well. That's full set syndrome, and we have a support group for that. So if you want to join, give us a shout. And the only thing you have to do to qualify is to insist on buying the full range of everything, even in colors you know you're not going to use, but you've got to have the full set. Yeah, I guess it's a way of suffering. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that and like what you've seen here. Like I said, you'll see me using all of these things in the coming weeks, but for now, this is what I have bought. And yeah, so like I said, do leave a like and subscribe and a comment if you have time. I try to get back to absolutely all of them. And don't forget, consider joining my Patreon. It is very cheap. One of the tiers is less than €10, and you get a lot of videos per month for that. There's also a lot of videos in the library, so well worth a look. And also, if, like I said, if you're not ready for a monthly commitment, you can buy the videos in my shop, the ones that are for sale. Some of them aren't, they're just for my Patreons, but quite a lot of them are there. But yeah, I shall see you there, one hopes. Otherwise, I'll see you back here next week, and I will, I can very, very confidently say that I will be doing something else. Don't know what it is yet, but something else. I'm sure about that bit. Bye for now. Bye.